My name is Caroline. I'm 35 and in my third year of marriage, juggling life as a working mom. I've known my husband since we were kids. We hadn't been in touch for many years since middle school, but we reconnected at a reunion and immediately clicked. Before we knew it, we were dating. Everything went smoothly in our relationship, and we naturally moved on to getting married. Both of us were in our mid-30s when we tied the knot. So, we were already talking about having kids soon. Then, I got transferred. And guess what? The new office was near my husband's parents. My husband and his folks were thrilled. "Why don't we live together? It'll be easier when you guys have kids," they said. Now, it's not like I have a bad relationship with my in-laws, but I wanted to maintain some space, so I kindly declined. They seemed pretty disappointed. I felt guilty, but figured it's better for everyone to have some boundaries. My husband agreed, or so I thought. Looking back, that was the starting point for everything. Due to my job transfer, we had to rent a new apartment. My husband's commute went from 30 minutes to an hour. I felt bad for making his life harder, but he told me, "We're a team. Don't worry about it." I was glad to have such an understanding husband. Yet, my in-laws didn't see it that way. "How can you inconvenience your husband for your own needs? A good wife would never do that," they criticized. Exactly. Derek is right. Don't you think you lack a sense of compassion for your husband? Why were they butting in? We had made this decision together. Ever since I turned down their offer to live together, they've been giving me the cold shoulder. "Caroline, did you marry your job or what?" Look, you're not getting any younger. Start thinking about having children. True happiness for a woman isn't found at work. It's in raising a family. Funny, because before we got married, they were all for me continuing my career, saying things like, "If our son is with a self-sufficient woman, we can rest easy." Can you believe how he's changed just because I said we shouldn't live with his parents? At first, my husband used to stand up for me, but now he's like, "Well, what Dad and Mom are saying makes sense. At this rate, what's even the point of us being married?" He's actually started saying things like that. But that's not all. "No, you're too busy to cook? Fine, I'll eat at my parents' house," he says and heads there more often than not. Sure, I've been working late since the job transfer. I've been doing my best with pre-made meals and takeout, but I guess that's not good enough for him. And then, the second I get home, the calls from my mother-in-law start. "What kind of wife can't even prepare a meal? Are you even aware you're married? You're just a freeloader." Hold on, I make money too. She ends the conversation with, "From now on, we'll feed him. So do whatever you want." Taking care of your married son's meals? Talk about helicopter parents. To begin with, my husband comes home at the same time every day. Shouldn't he be the one making dinner when I'm stuck at work? It's not just my in-laws, I'm also growing frustrated with my husband. Even with all these concerns, I still have one person on my side. "Hey, it's Uncle!" "Caroline, how are ya?" "I've been better." "What's wrong? You sound down." The caller was my late mother's real brother. I lost my parents in my 20s, so my uncle has been like a stand-in dad for me. I told my uncle in detail about my job transfer and my struggles with my in-laws. He listened to me intently, and for the first time in a long while, I felt at peace.
My in-laws, huh? That's a real piece of work.
You're telling me? It's like they're negating everything about me.
Your husband's no better. He should be standing up for you.
I know, right? It's just awful.
When you're troubled or worried, nothing beats eating something delicious to take your mind off it. Come by sometime and I'll treat you to some good food. And bring your husband too. I'll give him a piece of my mind.
My uncle owns a restaurant. When my parents were alive, we often dined at his place. Sounds good. We'll definitely stop by soon then.
Anytime, Caroline. If you're struggling, call me, alright?
Thanks, Uncle. Talking to Uncle made me feel so much better. It was a much-needed relief. One weekend, I was catching up on chores I couldn't get to during the week. My husband, meanwhile, was lounging on the sofa, doing nothing. Hey, can you help out? I'm tired too.
Why? You're the woman. You should do it.
What kind of logic is that?
My mom never made my dad do chores.
That's because she was a homemaker. I work full-time.
What? You think you're better than my mom?
That's not what I mean.
You've become so unpleasant.
Luco's talking. Ever since he started spending more time with his parents, he's been so hostile towards me. If this continues, our marriage could be at risk. To be a good partner, I decided to adjust my work schedule to come home at a more reasonable time. I figured this would reduce my husband's visits to his parents' house and give us a chance to reevaluate our relationship. I had to admit, I'd been using work as an excuse not to be emotionally available to my husband. From then on, I'd make an effort to come home early, cook dinner, and spend quality time together. Things started to look up. My husband's frequent visits to his parents' house dwindled, and our normal routine seemed to return. Or so I thought. Then came the curveball from his parents.
Hey, Mom ordered steak delivery for tonight. Let's go eat there.
What? I've already prepared dinner.
But they've gone through the trouble of ordering. How could we say no?
Well, I guess you're right. So my husband and I reluctantly decide to go to my in-laws'. Getting takeout all of a sudden, doesn't that seem a bit suspicious? Or is it just me who feels this way? Upon arriving at the in-laws, there was a plate from an upscale steak restaurant set out for each person. But there were only 3.
Welcome, let's eat,
my mother-in-law says cheerfully, as if I'm not even there, only to my husband.
Ah, you made it. Today's steak is sirloin.
My father-in-law chimed in, not even glancing my way, enjoying his steak and beer. Should I address this? I mustered the courage to speak. Where's mine? Summoning up the courage, I finally speak out. My mother-in-law offers a creepy smile.
Well, that's odd. I ordered 4 steaks. Something must be wrong.
My father-in-law is too engrossed in his meal to even look at me. As for my husband, he takes a bite of his steak, says,
Delicious,
then brushes off the issue.
Maybe the steakhouse messed up the order. No big deal.
Are you kidding me? So I'm the odd one out here. My mother-in-law tells such blatant lies and my husband and father-in-law pretend not to notice. I'm amazed that adults can act so childishly. But I handle it all with a cool head. All right then, I'll be leaving. No one tries to stop me. Driving home from my in-laws, Tears flood my cheeks. All I wanted was to get along with them. Why do I have to endure this? Unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable. So, I decided to take action in secret. I had to keep up the appearance of being the perfect wife. I made sure to come home on time, prepared meals for my husband, and flawlessly handled all the chores. My husband continues to have dinner at his parents' house and sometimes even stays overnight. Our marriage is obviously on the rocks, but I stick to my role as a devoted wife. I'm waiting for the perfect opportunity, and it finally arrives. One day off, I get an unusual call from my mother-in-law.
It's been a while. How about some steak? I ordered delivery.
It's rare for them to reach out to me, but I already knew what they were after. Even with my mean-spirited mother-in-law's devilish tone, I responded pleasantly.
Thank you. We'll be there,
I say politely. My husband and I head to my in-laws' place. When we get there, sure enough, there are only 3 plates of steak. Well, just as I expected. When things go exactly as planned, it actually makes it easier to handle. Where's mine? I ask, just like before.
Oh, that's strange. I swear I ordered 4.
I almost laugh at how staged her response is, but I hold back. Are you sure you ordered 4?
What? You doubt me?
Mother-in-law's gaze sharpens. Sensing the tension, my husband intervenes.
Come on, maybe the steakhouse got it wrong. It's happened before. Don't get so upset. You'll get wrinkles.
My in-laws burst into laughter at my husband's lame joke.
Caroline, you've been looking a bit aged lately. Don't lose your femininity, always buried in work.
Coming from a woman with far more wrinkles than me, that's unexpected.
You must remember your role as a wife. Always strive to look beautiful.
Father-in-law adds, stuck in another era, as if they were the ones in the right. Time to set things straight. Frustration boiling over, I finally burst out loud.
Unbelievable. What's wrong with this steakhouse? Messing up our order time and time again. They can't be serious. Yep, I'm calling them right now.
I made a big fuss and called the steakhouse using my in-laws' phone.
Hello? Can't you even take an order correctly? You're always messing up the quantity. Isn't that pretty unprofessional? Thanks to you, I always end up missing out on my steak. How do you plan on making it right?
Both my husband and in-laws were speechless at my actions.
Okay, got it. We'll be right over.
With things settled, I turned to my mother-in-law.
The steakhouse wants to apologize. How about we go there right now, mother-in-law? Apologize? Yes. They said they want to apologize in person for messing up our order so many times. They can't come now because they're open for business, so they asked if we could go to them. It's really a rude place, but they're willing to apologize. Let's go. This is just outrageous.
Mother-in-law was flustered by my fiery tone, but I didn't care. It's the restaurant's fault, isn't it, mother-in-law?
Caroline, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Just stop it. Why should I? They messed up, not me. I've missed out on steak twice now. Isn't that weird? Don't be a Karen. It's embarrassing. A Karen? What are you talking about? I have a legitimate complaint here. Mother-in-law, you surely wouldn't forget to order my portion, right? Yes, of course. Then let's go get that apology, shall we?
I pulled my visibly shaken mother-in-law and we headed towards the restaurant. My father-in-law and husband also followed, sensing that this was no small matter. Time for a little payback. As we entered, a few customers were inside, and a man who appeared to be the master was grilling steaks behind the counter. "I was the one who called earlier." Upon hearing this, the master came out from behind the counter to face us. "I would like an apology for the messed up orders."
"I prepared the quantity exactly as I was told."
In response to master's words, I feigned utter surprise. The patrons around us started murmuring, but I didn't mind. Everything had gone as planned so far. Time for the grand finale. "What? So you're saying, mother-in-law, that you didn't even order food for me, your daughter-in-law? Why would you do that? Is this some sort of spite?" Mother-in-law looked visibly rattled by my accusation. She never expected me, the wife, to fire back like this.
"No, that's not it. I genuinely made a mistake."
But the waiter said everything was according to the order.
"I simply miscounted the number of dishes, all right? Can we go home now?"
"What? You confused 3 with 4? Are you showing signs of dementia, mother-in-law?"
"Caroline, that's way out of line."
My father-in-law raised his voice, but I didn't back down. "It's not normal to mix up 3 and 4. Just admit you did it to spite me."
"Everyone makes mistakes. Can't you understand that?"
"Mistakes? This goes way beyond a simple mistake. Given your usual behavior towards me, it's only natural to suspect it was intentional." Then, mother-in-law, apparently offended by the dementia remark, readily admitted her wrongdoing.
"Yes, fine. I don't like you, so I did it to spite you."
"I can't believe this. Aren't you ashamed to act like such a child? Didn't you learn in school not to do things that others dislike? This is not something a grown adult, let alone a senior, should be doing." Cornered by my logic, mother-in-law had no retort. Both my husband and father-in-law seemed stunned into silence. And as the icing on the cake, the other customers in the restaurant began to voice their support.
"Deliberate spite? Wow, didn't think that still happened."
"I can't believe it's them. Better keep my distance from now on." Mother-in-law looked shocked. No wonder why. Most of the patrons in the restaurant lived in the same neighborhood as my in-laws.
"No, wait. There's an explanation for—"
Too late. Feeling increasingly uncomfortable, the 3 of them hastily left the restaurant.
"Caroline, that was awesome."
Master patted me on the shoulder. "Sorry to drag you into this, uncle." Turns out, the steakhouse was actually owned by my uncle. I initially missed the restaurant's name, but later noticed it on a delivery bag. I'm really lucky, I guess, which made plotting this revenge quite easy. Whenever my in-laws invited me for steak, it was usually on the weekend following their pension payment. I had asked for my uncle's help to plan accordingly for this specific day. We even added some improvisational moments from regular customers my uncle knew well. My uncle had appealed.
"My dear niece is enduring persistent harassment. I could use your help."
Thankfully, they were more than willing to play along. Having many of the in-laws as neighbors present really gave our plan a major boost. I wonder what kind of faces they're making right now. The thought alone kept me laughing. Eventually, my husband and I divorced. Despite my efforts to mend our relationship, it was clear he wasn't interested, so the path to divorce was pretty smooth. Luckily, as the one who caused the divorce, he didn't have much of a say in the negotiations. So, my meticulous play-the-good-wife plan aimed at revenge worked like a charm. Later, I got a call from my ex-husband. He had moved back in with his parents and was shocked at how uncomfortable it was.
Small towns, you know. Gossip spreads fast. Mom gets cold stares wherever she goes, and for some reason I'm being shunned too.
Why, he wonders. The reason is pretty clear. Anyone who joins in the bullying with his annoying parents deserves to be avoided. You're clueless. This is all coming back to haunt you. Enjoy your time with mom and dad in your small town. Just be careful not to get kicked out by the community.
What do you mean, kicked out by the community?
I wanted to tell him to figure it out himself, but I don't owe this fool any more of my time. I quietly hung up. His parents are trying to marry him off again by taking him to all sorts of matchmaking parties. But for some reason, it's not working out. I mean, can you blame them?
Caroline, you've got to find happiness, not just for yourself, but for your late parents too.
My uncle said, grilling a sirloin steak across the counter. My latest indulgence is treating myself once a week at my uncle's place. Thank you, Uncle. I can feel the tears coming. It must be too much pepper. It was a night where my uncle's kindness touched my heart.